Hello everyone, Jules here from Wellbeing. Following on from our most recent video where we talked a little bit about leader wellbeing, why it's so important and how it can best be utilised and leveraged. So I said that I would talk a little bit about healthy work, and I made specific reference to, and you can look this up online, some fabulous resources, the SMART work design model, SMART, not to be confused with SMART goals, put out by the Future of Work Institute. It is a model that has been founded upon some 4 decades, 40 odd years of research in the workplace wellbeing space. Absolutely worth having a look at. So I'm going to run through that very briefly today. And this model can be used in a bunch of different ways. The two most foundational being a bottom-up and a top-down approach. So bottom-up meaning the employee or anyone in the workplace can use this themselves in crafting their own job, adjusting the way that they work to really leverage these principles and conduct their work in a way that is as good for them as possible in those elements where they have the autonomy to make minor changes. And a lot of them are minor. There can be more major ones, of course. And then, of course, you can use it as a top-down approach, as a leader or manager, either looking to redesign a role if you're finding that it's not working very well in terms of output, longevity, productivity, those sorts of things. And you can also use these principles to create and design new roles. So I'll run through them fairly briefly. Excuse me. So SMART: stimulating, mastery, agency, relational, and tolerable demands, because it is always important to talk about demands. And if we're talking about these as principles that support healthy work, those demands need to be tolerable. So stimulating. The role is exactly as it sounds. There needs to be a decent level of stimulation in a role. Now, this is going to change. All of these elements will change according to the type of role that we're looking at. Some roles are not very stimulating roles. If you're looking at process work in a production line or something like that, and that's okay. I think it's worth pointing out at the beginning here that not everybody is out there looking for massively stimulating roles. And some people just like to go to work each day, do their work, and go home. And that's okay. We need those steady people, and we need those lots of different types of roles. But we do need to look at how stimulating the role is. So as an example, if you have an employee, good morning, who's smashing their KPIs and doing really, really well, and you can see that they've got such an appetite for what they're doing, one of the things that you can do, and talk to them about it in your one-to-ones, which I assume you're having, ask them if you'd like them to look out for projects, additional projects for them to get involved in. Ask them where their interests lie. There may be a colleague working on something that they'd love to get in and give them a hand. There might be a project you have upcoming that's a really big one on your plate you could do with a hand. You might ask them to take lead on it and keep you abreast of things as they go. I'm going into too much detail, so anyway, stimulating. Mastery is about having the opportunity to leverage, demonstrate, engage, deploy the skills, knowledge, and abilities that you have. How wonderful does it feel when you're doing something that you know you're good at and you can achieve good results from, positive results from? So having that level of mastery is important. There's always going to be elements of what we do in our work and life that might not be particularly comfortable, and that's completely okay. And you will help to support people's and your own well-being, if you know that you're able to engage those skills that you have. And it's worth being conscious of those, right? Like once we know these principles, we can help to understand what we're doing, and we can appreciate these elements that we're employing. So stimulating, mastery. Agency is the ability to know that you have some influence over the type of work that you do. And again, if you're talking about very process-driven roles, there may not be a lot of opportunity for agency there, but it also comes down to things like being heard, having a conversation with your colleagues or your supervisor, line manager, leader of some kind, and feeling as though you're being heard and that person is open and responsive to the messages that you're giving. They may not be able to make changes, but they can hear you, and maybe make shifts where they can. So another example might be, so in the work that I've done for many years in employee wellbeing, yes, there were a lot of KPIs. Yes, there were a lot of people to support with not much time a lot of the time. But I did have the flexibility and the agency to structure my day by and large around meetings. And I have a story around that, which is not for this video because it'll be too long. But I can talk about that another time. If you're interested, flick me a note and let me know. This was a wonderful tool that I used when I was balancing a few things. I was coming back from breast cancer treatment recovery, so lots of fatigue and cognitive fog. So I was on a return to work, so I was working very reduced hours, and it was right coming through COVID. So we had a very high workload, and at that time our team had shrunk, which was another challenge. So we only had 2 of us part-time. So this was a wonderful tool that really, really helped me navigate that time. And I digress. So agency. Relational is, as it sounds, the ability to connect with other people. And that can be in a myriad of ways. It might be having a wonderful tight-knit team and everybody gets along really well and they collaborate and they communicate and they support one another. It can be, again, relational, having that relationship with a leader or line manager. And so being available to your team, if you're a leader listening to this right now, is important. And a lot of people talk about open door policies, and you balance that as best works for you. But this is why I think one-to-ones are so important. It may not be possible to have an open door policy for everybody all the time because you do need your own stuff that you have to get done. But one-to-ones can be a beautiful way of just ensuring that structure, the relational. The other one to consider is you might have staff members working in a back-end, can't think of the word that I mean, but a back-end role. So for example, you might be in a helping type business, and you might be talking to somebody who's working in finance, in a bookkeeping capacity or something like that. In addition to those local relational considerations, is everybody in the business understanding how the work that they do benefits the people that they're trying to help. So really being able to, bumping the mic, being able to connect the work that we're doing every day to the benefit at the end to other people. That's another really important aspect to the relational aspect of this healthy work design tool, and worth considering those things. You can also connect the work that people are doing to the overarching mission, vision, values of the business, so that people can see where the business is going, why the business is going in that direction, the good that the business can do, and how what they do contributes to that. So that relational aspect is about connections. About connections. And tolerable demands. As we know, when we have people who are struggling a little with work, the most common thing that we hear is, oh my goodness, this is just too much. And I know I mentioned this in the previous video. No one can do this much work. It's not possible for any human being. And that's entirely possibly true. And I would suggest it's true for most roles. Excuse me, cold weather's giving me a little bit of a runny nose. And I tend to think, and for managers particularly, and leaders in any capacity, our work is never actually fully done. I don't think I know anyone that's got to the end of the day on a routine basis and gone, yeah, done, woo, clean, empty mind, go home. Having said that, when we only look at workload, we are missing so much of the picture. And according to FOWI, the Future of Work Institute, when we only use the workload lever to try and support people better, it is the least effective lever that we can pull on its own. It actually has the least impact on people's well-being. So we really need to be looking at leveraging those other 4: stimulating, mastery, agency, relational. We really need to be leveraging those elements as well, as well as considering the tolerable demands. So We're at 10 minutes. I'm going to stop. There's a lot more we could go into with all of those things. Consider them for yourself. How can you tweak the little things that you do each day to leverage those things and be mindful of how those things are present in your role and in your everyday life, maybe? And I think when we're conscious of those, we can appreciate them more as well. Alrighty, I will stop there. Lovely to chat with you all. Please ask me any questions. Feel free. Drop me a message if there's anything you'd like me to chat about a bit more another time. And yeah, have a wonderful day and enjoy the little moments in your day. Talk soon. Be well. Bye.